Cars on track, ready for the final race of the day here at a rather damp Donington. It is the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. Race 1 of 3 of the weekend, and it is a championship that is going to be decided this weekend. It's been a busy season for the Ginetta drivers, with the GT Pro category for the G56s won already by Luke Reed, and he will start on pole position with the championship second-placed driver, Callum Davis, starting with him at the front. Mackenzie Douglas will go from third, and then it is lining up fourth, Leona Theobald. Fifth is Ruben Haig, ahead of Connor Garlick. After them on the grid, there is Blake Anglis and the redoubtable Colin White, third in the championship, but the multiple national hot rod champion way back on the grid, but ahead of Carl Garnett and Bal Sidhu. Although that championship has already been decided, the GT5s is up for grabs. It is headed by Luke Garlick, and he is second on the GT5 grid to Ella Lloyd, who is second in the championship. Then Pablo Jequier and Sam Harvey on the second row, and Will Rochford and Karim Sakat on the third. It's a shame we haven't got more of the G40s, because they were always a very competitive race car, but the fact that their championship is still up for grabs rather indicates how competitive it has been in the class this year. So the field now making its way down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Of course, the G56s will be the cars to beat. They're the faster of the two class of car within the race. Riding on board the Fox Motorsport car here of Mackenzie Douglas as that sprints its way up towards Gollards. A very wet day yesterday. It's been a pretty wet morning, and the road hasn't really dried out. It's never got warm enough to dry properly, and although the road is drying, we've had that over the past single-seater race and GT qualifying before it, it is still pretty treacherous offline. Sam Harvey, you were riding with a moment ago, as the cars now weave their way up towards the grid. There is Colin White, back racing, of course, this season after last year was curtailed after his sizable shunt at Thruxton. But the man from Glastonbury, who began in Bangor racing, worked his way through the oval racing ranks to national hot rods, won everything there was to win there, came across to circuit racing, and has been a stalwart Ginetta racer for a long, long time, not only in terms of one-mate races, but also in double-driver GT races and Nürburgring 24 hours as well. So he's done many a mile for Lawrence Tomlinson's company, as Colin, and his enthusiasm remains undimmed. The last couple of cars then into place. Karim Sakat at the back of that modest GT5 grid for the G40s. Green flag shown to say that everybody's where they need to be for 20 minutes of racing, which is about to get underway. Lights go red. Lights will go out any second. It is blast off, and a good start made by Callum Davis then from the outside of the front row. Gets the drop on the rather slower starting champion Luke Reed, who slots in behind him as they dive down towards Redgate Corner for the first time. Out wide goes Colin White, and he puts two wheels on the grass as he comes into the braking zone. So Colin has got some work to do, and he's about to run out of road as well. As he picked up damage, the car didn't seem to want to turn there. And yes, he has got a problem, because the G40s out of the GT5 class, at least half of the entry has gone scampering past. So Colin White's car tries to pick up pace, but looks as though it may have a problem as the race leader, Callum Davis, accelerates up out of the old hairpin for the first time. We'll see whether Colin White does battle on, whether he's able to pick up places, or whether there was possibly a brush going down towards turn one, which may have not only put him on the grass, but given him some damage. Already the field a little bit strung out in mid-pack as the leading, quartet gets away, heading into Coppice Corner now. Colin White is soldiering on, and he is now starting to pick his way back up past the G40s, but he's lost a huge amount of time to his class rivals. And Callum Davis getting away from Luke Reed, who in turn comes under attack there from Mackenzie Douglas as they head into the S's for the first time. Luke Reed, in a sense, with nothing to prove here. He's already taken the title. That was achieved at Brands Hatch. He'd like to get himself back into British GT racing, I'm sure, for next season. And one way of reminding people of his ability is to go out with, if possible, 3 more race wins. Mackenzie Douglas then right on the back of Luke Reed as he comes now up towards the left of Gollards. But Callum Davis, while all this is going on, is getting away. You can see just how greasy the road is offline. So to do the overtaking, you're going to have to be pretty brave. Out wide there, and then sideways, coming out of Gollards, slithered. Number 19, the car of Carl Garnett, but he got away with that just about, goes over the line. rest of the field come through, and Colin White, bit by bit, is picking his way through the G40s, but you can see how much grass he managed to pick up, because it's filling quite a lot of the front of the car there, heading into Redgate Corner. Colin White then turns through. He's dropped back into 11th place overall, but he should be able to wriggle his way forward. That said, number 28 of Ella Lloyd has other ideas about all of this. Now, up front within the GT5s, Luke Garlick is getting away, and Ella Lloyd needs to try to go with him and can't for as long as she's trapped behind Colin White. She either needs Colin to let her by or for him to speed up and get ahead of the rivals, as two more of the G40s are in all sorts of mayhem at the bottom of the Craner curves. One of those is Karim Sekat, and the other one with a bit of damage is Will Rochford, but they have sorted themselves out and carry on and are still battling even in their recovery. Looking at the back of Will Rochford's car, I suspect it may well have been contact between the two that triggered all of that, but we'll have another look. Here they come down through the Craner curves. Karim Sekat got sideways and around he went. No, Will Rochford's damage was done purely by bouncing across the grass, so ripped bodywork off, so he went off in avoidance. It was Karim Sekat having a huge lose that came down through the Craners that rather triggered all of that, but thankfully they have survived and continue their battle. As in the meantime, the race leaders come to the end of the lap. This will be the end of lap number 2. They're going through is 24 Mackenzie Douglas, who has still not quite cracked Luke Reed, who has now done the fastest lap of the race. So it may not have been a dynamite start, but he is now picking up pace as the cars come down through Redgate Corner this time. So the margin first to second is 6/10, and the margin second to third is half a second. But Luke Reed now looking as though he's getting into his stride and starting to edge clear as the cars drop down through the Craner curves once more. Mackenzie Douglas still pushing on. Tyres getting a little bit warmer, giving the drivers that extra confidence to push. 4th and 5th, Conor Garlick ahead of Ruben Haig. And then the top 6 rounded out by Blake Anglis. So the 3 race leaders turn out of the right-hand of McLean's corner, and Luke Reed now looking ever more menacing. Not only did he do the fastest lap of the race last time through, but he's also now done the absolute best within the first sector and pushes on as the cars come down towards Goddard's this time. Davis, Reed, Douglas then the top 3. Turning their way on the Grand Prix loop once more, and as they do so this time, so Luke Reed did another absolute best in the middle sector. He's only hundreds quicker, but quicker nonetheless than Callum Davis, so he is getting closer and closer all the time. It's not going to be long, I think, before it is game on for the race lead and a change of pace up towards Goddard's then. And Davis goes wide, almost opened the door there, look for Luke Reed, but he wasn't quite able to take advantage of that. Very nearly committed and then realised the door was closing, so he backed out of it, and that actually has brought Mackenzie Douglas back into the mix as they head down towards Redgate. Douglas pulls out of the draft, has a look, brakes late, and really has to find the car all the time, looking for grip as he goes into the corner. Really, really difficult conditions, this, to make any sort of progress whatsoever as the cars now drop down through the Craner curves again. Luke Reed trying to attack, trying to defend. Mackenzie Douglas here in that 3rd place, trying to apply the pressure. In 4th is Conor Garlick. One that's really dropped back seemingly is from 4th on the grid, Leona Theobald, who's fallen back into 9th place. So the 3 leaders go by, heading up towards Coppice this time. Great turn in. Douglas getting into the wheel tracks again with Luke Reed. Last time, Conor Garlick did the fastest lap of the race. And Colin White's heading for the pit lane. Now, that might be because of damage sustained early on. It might be because the car's starting to get a bit hot and bothered with all that grass in the front of it. Either way, the CWS entry into the pit lane. As I rather fear, might be the end of Colin's race. So it did look as though the car had a problem on the way to Redgate on the first lap. He's tried it for a couple of laps, but clearly he's not happy. Lead gap has stretched a bit this time. Davis now 4/10 up on Reed. And he, in turn, is having to think about what's going on behind him then as the cars once more turn their way up towards the timing line. There, further back, is number 19, Carl Garnett. Now, has he got a problem? Because that car almost looked like it had a right front puncture. He's going slowly and being chased in turn by Luke Garlick, who is the GT5 leader. Carl Garnet, yes, he fell away last time. He has got a puncture, hasn't he? Look at the right front. There's something not right about it. Luke Garlick leading Alan Lloyd and being caught in the process there in the class. And number 19 is heading for the pit lane, and you can see that there is a drama on the front right. It's gone down, surely, that front right tyre. So down the pit lane comes Carl Garnet, and depending on whether or not they can change that, that's either going to be a long pit stop or the end of the race. For the race lead, in the meantime, they're still hard at it as they come out of Coppice then, onto Starkey Straight, down towards the S's once more. And this is the view from Mackenzie Douglas's car. He's fallen back a little bit from Luke Reed this time. Trying to go after the top two. Now, what's he got behind him? He has got there, look, 63, Conor Garlick. And I think all the gesticulation was to say, stop fighting me, let's go after the leaders, because the more I'm delaying myself by defending from you, the more we're both losing touch with the top two. Let's work together. If that works in their favour, they might be able to get back up with the top two. And Alan Lloyd is off the road then. So second in the GT5 Championship, has just dropped down in the class. Others have gone past, and that's bad news for Alan Lloyd as far as points are concerned, and it was all self-induced, too much speed into the old hairpin over the grass, and then just as the car was heading for tarmac, it starts to slide. It's suddenly bit, but enough to unsettle the car even more, and she was lucky to get out of the gravel there. Back into the race, number 19 then, Carl Garnet, but still going slowly and keeping out of the way of the leading quartet that goes by. So through they go. And now, once more, leaders plunge down the hill. We've got 11 more minutes on the clock. And in fairness to Callum Davis, he's doing a good job here, keeping the opposition at bay. There you can see number 63 going through of Conor Garlick. But the race leader is up at McLean's, and Luke Reed, try as he might, has not yet been able to get close enough to make a proper bid for position. Next up, as they turn right, is still the charging Mackenzie Douglas. Then behind him, Conor Garlick. In the GT5s then, it is Luke Garlick now well clear after Ella Lloyd's dramas of a lap ago. And that's going to help him in the championship. Pablo Jequier up in the second. And then third in the class now, Sam Harvey. The G56s rattle out of the S's over the curb. With this time around, Conor Garlick just dropping back a little bit, so that gives Mackenzie Douglas the chance to go after Luke Reed, but then he closes and he gets a bit stuck, and Conor Garlick can bring down the gap again, the man with the fastest lap of the race to his name. Out wide, almost skimming the grass there, Mackenzie Douglas as he goes by. So the gap between the leaders is 8/10, then it's just under half a second between second and third. It's into Redgate they go. This, meantime, is the battle in the GT5 class between Pablo Jequier and Sam Harvey, and this now is for second in the class. So the G40s, the sort of entry level into Ginetta racing, running together. So many of these cars have been seen over the years. It's a shame we can't tempt them all back out, but I suspect that because they're now the subsidiary class, drivers want to be at the front and they're looking at the G56s instead. It's a great way into Ginetta racing, and they give very, very good racing. The same car, but a more powerful version of what you see in the Ginetta Junior Championship, and Sam Harvey now lines up for a go on the inside then. Has to go offline to do the overtaking, which means that now, when he hits the brakes, he's going to have to be really, really good to get some traction. He does get some traction, runs through the corner and comes out the other side, clear of Pablo Jequier. So up into second in class, Sam Harvey with a good move under braking down at the Melbourne hairpin. Contact to the head into Goddard's though. So that means that Jequier just tags the back of Sam Harvey. The leaders are back on the Grand Prix. Luke Lapri, therefore, is not that far away. And the race leader, Callum Davis, now benefiting potentially from the fight that's going on for second place, because together they run. And now Luke Reed is coming under real pressure from the Fox Motorsport car here of Mackenzie Douglas. Down into the left-hander of Goddard's, up towards the end of lap 7 they come with 8 minutes on the clock. Quick adjustment made by Douglas then as he goes down towards the right at Redgate. Behind them, Conor Garlick, again, last time around, did another fastest lap of the race. So he's got the pace to get up with them. but they can't find a way through the pack. And Callum Davis has been caught yet again by Luke Reed. 0.3 of a second between them when they went across the line this time. So there through the top three, you can see that again Garlick just drops off the back of that pack a little bit. So every time he gets close, can't make progress, falls away. That takes the pressure off Mackenzie Douglas. He then gets onto the back of Luke Reed. They also have to wriggle their way up past Karim Sekat, putting a lap on him as they go by. Mission accomplished, and then down Starkey Straight once more. Now this time around, Callum Davis has pulled out a little bit of time within that middle sector, like 0.3 of a second, and now look how close it is for second place with a good exit from Mackenzie Douglas. Now can he line up for a move on the inside? He's going to think about it down to the Melbourne hairpin, but again he's got to be offline. Slots back in, stands on the brake so that he doesn't get into the back of Luke Reed's car, but he's got the pace certainly. Off the road there, coming out of the Goddard's left-hander is Pablo Jeque, who's having a huge slide. He can't get it off the grass. Now he can, but he falls way, way back in the queue and will rejoin just ahead of the race leaders. Mackenzie Douglas, oh so close to getting level. Luke Reed looks across, sees where he is. This is Douglas's view. Again, desperately late on the brakes, but Luke Reed has the line for the corner. Douglas needs the undercut coming out the other side. Nose to tail, they run down the hill. Back with them is Conor Garlick. Douglas on the attack, on the defence as well. 6 minutes on the clock now. Gap on the inside into the old hairpin, but again, he would have to go onto the more slippery part of the circuit to do it, and doesn't want to commit to that. Davis, way off the racetrack though, as he has to get through the traffic. All four wheels over the curb. There's the slow Colin White car that's rejoined ahead of them, still with problems. And so now, there, Luke Reed going the outside line of Pablo Jeque. Up the inside line goes Mackenzie Douglas. Is that going to help him gain the place then as they get to Coppice? No, it's not. Still Luke Reed is able to stay ahead. All of a sudden, though, back markers threatening to turn the race upside down here. Once more, down to the S's they come then. Mackenzie Douglas brakes as late as he dares. Luke Reed unable now, I think, having lost time on this lap, to really go after Callum Davis. He's still got 5 minutes of the race to go, mind you. And down to the braking zone they come once again. Luke Reed is the one that snakes under braking, and he's going to go wide, and the door is suddenly open. Douglas gets up the inside, drives over the floppy marker, gets level as they come now up towards Goddard's. But Luke Reed has the advantage just about on the inside line for the corner. Douglas brakes late, Garlick gets up the inside as well. The danger here is that Douglas doesn't gain a place but loses one instead. Still third as they come over the line. Goes to the inside line. Is there enough traction? Can he brake late enough? He's going to have a good go this time around. And finally he's done it at the inside line and he goes through. Mackenzie Douglas up into second place. He's had to work incredibly hard for that, but while he's been doing it, Callum Davis has scarpered up the road. Down through the Craner curves, champion Luke Reed under attack now from Conor Garlick, and Luke Reed's car looking a little bit less compliant. It's on the edge and it runs out just a little bit wide there, going down through the old hairpin. All over the curve, two wheels on the grass, if not all four. Conor Garlick desperately trying to seize any opportunity he can to get the place. The leader is in the traffic, but away and gone. Second is Douglas, there third is Reed, fourth right on his tail, Conor Garlick behind. Out of Coppice, onto Starkey Straight, now they come. And those last couple of laps with the back markers have certainly given Callum Davis an opportunity to get away, and he means to hang on to that as they come down towards the S's. Just under 4 minutes of the race to go. Luke Reed trying to get past Ellen Lloyd, couldn't do it. It's ahead now of Sam Harvey, so Ella Lloyd has fought back, got ahead of Sam Harvey after her gravelly moment of earlier on. So Luke Reed turns through, and that back marker giving him a useful cushion for the moment, sitting between G56s of Reed and then Mackenzie Douglas behind, and of Conor Garlick behind, Mackenzie Douglas having gone through at the start of this lap. So there is Garlick up towards the exit of Goddard's now. Ella Lloyd recovering and second again in the GT5 class, as she is in the championship. So this is looking a bit more promising now in terms of damage limitation for her, but equally, Luke Garlick is the best part of 28 seconds up the road, so uncatchable unless he has a moment. 3 minutes on the clock now. Downhill heads Mackenzie Douglas. Out of the old hairpin. Now that lead gap is coming down. So having said that Callum Davis had disappeared up the road, Mackenzie Douglas, having been finally released from behind Luke Reed, is absolutely flying, and that car is edging ever closer. So this is the view. You're in second place. Race leader Callum Davis has led since the get-go, but he might not stay there. He's having to push hard. He's just done a personal best first sector, but it's not as good as the first sector on this lap from the chasing Mackenzie Douglas. So right now it is the white car in second place that looks like it is the quicker of the two. Down they come into the braking zone. Out of the S's. Now flying lap is 1 minute and 39 at the moment. Is going to be the last lap, or can they squeeze 2 more out of this as they come now on the 2-minute mark down to the Melbourne hairpin? I suspect they're going to get 2 more laps out of it, which might be bad news for Luke Reed, who is under big pressure now, look, from Connor Garlick for that 3rd place. Heading up towards the timing line they come. It's going to be close, this. So to the line, let's see, up towards the timing point now come the race leaders. And that last lap was exactly 1 minute and 39, a 38 for Connor Garlick. So it's going to be very close, this, as to whether it's the last lap or not. Callum Davis is ahead. Mackenzie Douglas is on his tail. So they cross the line with about a lap time left in the race. If the checkered flag doesn't go out at the end of this lap, but they have done the 20 minutes, then the, if you like, virtual checkered flag will be shown on the timing screen. Otherwise, they keep racing. If they've just escaped by fractions of a second, they'll have 1 more lap, and that could be absolutely crucial for Mackenzie Douglas. So right now, everybody trying to second guess whether this turns out to be the last lap. It's going to be close if not. Nose to tail for the race lead, out of copies. Gap opening up on the inside for Douglas, but he can't really take advantage of that. Down to the S's they come. Nose to tail, Douglas goes to the outside. Davis brakes late. Is it going to be too late? Flicks the car over the curb. Mackenzie Douglas then running out of time. Half a minute on the clock, down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Absolutely nose to tail. Mackenzie Douglas again denied the opportunity there. Callum Davis under massive pressure, and Douglas's car getting stronger and stronger as this race wears on. Heading into the left-hander of Goddard's then, nose to tail they come through. So Callum Davis, it is, in the SVG Motorsport entry, heading up towards the line. Is it going to be to a flag? Over the line they go, and yes, it is to the checkered flag, just. So Callum Davis takes the win from Mackenzie Douglas. It was very tight indeed between them, and in terms of squeezing another lap out of it, but it is Callum Davis that does take the race win. Mackenzie Douglas second, and Luke Reed, by his high standards, a little bit subdued in 3rd place, never quite having the pace. 4th, Connor Garlick, and the winning GT5 is going to be this car of Luke Garlick. A little bit further back, of course, around the circuit, but he escaped being lapped, and he will be the only G40 on the lead lap. And we've lost there right at the very end, Leona Theobald, whose car has ground to a halt coming up towards Coppice. So Luke Garlick's heading for a class win and potentially towards the championship with yet another victory. Alan Lloyd, after the earlier spin, of course, badly delayed and ending up in the end second in class ahead of Sam Harvey. So Luke Garlick's heading down towards the Melbourne hairpin, and with Leona Theobald, Carl Garnett, Colin Whitehall having assorted dramas. A bit of work for some of the teams to do overnight, but there, look, Callum Davis, the race winner, on his slowing down lap, almost catching the last car to take the flag. So Luke Garlick heading to the line, Colin White's limping back to the pit lane, and now they've put a red flag out now. There's a red light, and so the team urging 71 to get, otherwise he's not going to cross the line. So now, number 71 of Luke Garlick doesn't know what to do, because if he doesn't cross the line, he won't be classified. The team ushering him on, as you can see, he's gone into the pit lane. Now, hopefully, he will be allowed to have crossed the timing line in the pits, but why the red lights come on, I've got no idea. So, the checkered flag had been shown. Luke Garlick comes into the pit lane, but if that took away a class win, that would be absolutely criminal for a man trying to win a championship. Now, whether it's been red flag because of that car on the last lap, it's a possibility, but a red light coming on before everyone had taken the... Anyway, the red light came on, but never came on the timing screen, only trackside, so the plot thickened. So Luke Garlick did not take the checkered flag on the track, he took it in the pit lane. These are the highlights then of what turned out to be quite a lively race in the end. Colin White being edged towards the grass early on, Callum Davis getting the race lead and turning into Red Gate corner ahead. Big slide from Karim Sekat became a spin. Will Rochford going off the road in avoidance, shedding bodywork, and then Ella Lloyd in her G40 had her own moment at the bottom of the Protyre curves as well. Despite dropping wheels into the gravel, she was able to dig her way out and carry on and catch back up to the G40 traffic, and was able to make a move on the inside of the car of Sam Harvey going up towards McLean's corner and through Coppice. Then onto the grass went Pablo Jacquier. He had a big moment. Up front, Luke Reed under attack from Mackenzie Douglas. Race leader Callum Davis was getting away. Finally, Douglas was able to make the move as Luke Reed went deep into the Melbourne hairpin. And once released, Douglas charged off in pursuit of Callum Davis, but it was too little too late. He couldn't quite get there in time. They finished nose to tail. Callum Davis just ahead of Mackenzie Douglas, but with that red flag being shown at the very end for a parked car, the results got back a lap. Leona Theobald taken out of the result as the cause of the red flag. A win then for Callum Davis in number 95. So Callum Davis, the victor, on the amended result, if you like, going back a lap because of that red flag. At 0.2 of a second, he was ahead of Mackenzie Douglas, but it was closer than that in real terms. So Callum Davis, the race winner, Mackenzie Douglas second, and Luke Reed taking third. Conor Garlick fourth ahead of Ruben Haig, and then Baum Sidhu. Luke Garlick to win his class seventh ahead of Ella Lloyd, Blake Anglis ninth, and Sam Harvey rounding out the top 10. Will Rochford 11th after his wild moment through the Protyre curves ahead of Pablo Jacquier and Karim Sekat. So more from the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship tomorrow. But as the light fades at Donington, so the drivers then now on the podium. Callum Davis for the top step, and Luke Garlick will be a relieved driver that he is a class winner and therefore can be on the top step and in control going into tomorrow's remaining 2 races of the season. So the cars that have ended up dotted around the circuit being retrieved. So some of the teams with quite a bit of work to attend to before we go racing tomorrow at the end of this first season for the title of Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. Of course, effectively an amalgamation of what the old Ginetta Super Cup and the G40 Championship, but one that's delivered some good racing over the course of the season. So we'll have more action from the 3 Ginetta Championships tomorrow, the GT Championship, the Academy and the Junior Championship. And all the action will begin early morning, just after 9 o'clock with the Junior action tomorrow. So lots of Ginetta drama to come. But for now from Donington, it's goodbye.